Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ev, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 10 essential international travel tips. So if you are planning on flying out of the country, these are things that I think anybody and everybody should apply to their lives, no matter where you go and what you're doing. If it's in the winter, the summer, however you like to fly, or wherever you end up, you will probably have to end up doing this one way or the other. So hopefully these tips help you guys out. Don't forget to thumbs up the video and subscribe down below for more, and we're just gonna jump right into it. So last year I traveled a lot, like more than I've ever traveled in my whole life. I went to Aruba, Toronto, Barcelona, Ibiza, London, Johannesburg, Cape Town, and then Paris, Egypt, and Rome on the way back. Some of those were extended layovers, some of them were actual trips, and I felt like I had to learn things and learn them very quickly. So I don't have years and years of travel experience. If you do, leave it down below in the comment section so you can help one traveler out to another. But I'm just gonna jump into 10 things that really helped me along the way that I had to learn as I went because I didn't have anybody there to tell me. So number one, do not use the currency exchange at the airport. What I found when I traveled to Cape Town, South Africa, was that the currency exchanges had a much higher conversion rate than the actual ATMs when you went out into the city and actually started your vacation. So they have the currency exchanges at the airport. If you want to switch your money over there, it could be anywhere between like, I don't know, 10%, 18%, really high exchange rates, and then you end up paying more just to convert your money. It's really high if you go there. So if you can, and you have actual cash on you, then wait until you get to the local areas and use those banks, and then the exchange rate or the conversion rate will be a lot lower. That is dependent on your bank as well, but I saved a lot of money by not doing the currency exchange, and other travelers I was with also confirmed this. They were like using ATMs. A lot of people are scared. They think they're gonna get their information stolen, but you won't. I didn't. Things were fine, and it saved me a lot of money at the end of the day. Number two, now if you are not going to be using your card, or if you're traveling to a country that doesn't accept a lot of cards, you do want to take money out, and it would benefit you to go ahead and take money out of the local ATM so you have a lower conversion rate, and take out as much as you think you're going to need. Don't show your money in public, don't be flashy, don't get extra, but have cash, because a lot of societies, a lot of cultures are cash-based societies, cash-driven societies. So it's a lot easier for you to just have money on you than trying to hunt down an ATM and pay people back or figure out where the closest one is. I know when I went to Egypt, I was constantly looking for an ATM because I never have cash on me. Like, as a general rule of thumb in America, I don't ever have cash on me. That does not cross my mind in the slightest. I use my card for everything. But when I went to foreign countries like Cape Town and Egypt, it was just much easier to have cash on me. So if you use your card a lot, or you're going to a country where you can use your card a lot, then go to local ATMs. The conversion rates are much lower. It will save you money. But two, if you do have cash, then take some out before you go, because as far as getting around, transportation especially, you just want to have a certain amount of cash on you because things will go easier. Your entire trip will go much easier. Number three, make sure that everything you need for at least like 1 to 2 days is in a carry-on bag, and specifically I would say get a backpack. Unfortunately, when you do check a bag and you trust these airlines to get your stuff to you on time, they 95% of the time deliver. I don't even know if it's 95. That might be a little too optimistic, but you assume your bags are gonna get there and you can just wait for them to pop out of the little carousel and you'll be fine. But sometimes your bags don't make it and you do. So if for whatever reason you are in Aruba and your bags aren't, make sure that you have a carry-on that has everything you need in there, which includes travel size versions of things, an overnight like underwear, bra, like a change of clothes for basic stuff. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, like but toothbrush, toothpaste, something to wash your face with, just so you can spruce up and tidy up, because sometimes you have long layovers. You might be somewhere for 16 hours. Traveling long distances can get very grimy real quick, okay? So you wanna make sure that even if the airline doesn't get your stuff to you, you still have a way to freshen up and a way to change, and you're gonna be good. Also, if you're going to keep things in a carry-on, I would suggest a backpack. I had a shoulder bag that I carried everything in. If you do have somewhere where you have a long layover and you do leave the airport, which I do recommend because you can have a lot of short, cute experiences that way, I would recommend a backpack, only because my shoulder was getting tired. It wasn't super heavy, but it was all the pressure and weight on one area, so I would do a backpack next time. I love my shoulder bag. I think it's great, but for carry-ons, have something that's comfortable for you. And for me, a backpack that evenly distributes the weight is much, much better. I'm reading things off my phone to make sure I don't forget, but that was actually number 4 as well. So number 3, make sure all of your overnight stuff is in a carry-on, like 1 to 2 days worth of clothing. And number 4 is make it a backpack. Just get a backpack, sis. Don't even bother with the cute shoulder bag. They're really, really cute. The totes and everything, they're cute, but they're gonna wear on your shoulder, okay? Distribute the weight. Number 5 is to keep your medication, any kind of medication you might need, in its original container. If you guys travel internationally, you know that there is a plethora of things that might happen to your immune system on the way. So you could have a headache if you want to take Tylenol, Advil, if your period starts early, you got cramps, whatever the situation is. Even I have allergies and I have to bring my EpiPens and stuff. You want to make sure that you keep the medication in its original container. I know it's a space saver and it's a lot quieter to have things that aren't in like hard plastic containers and like jingling around in your bag and makes you feel like a drug addict or something, but keep it in its original container. I actually stuff like cotton balls and stuff inside the original like Benadryl allergy bottles or whatever, just so they don't like rattle around too much. But keep it in its original container, because if you go through security and they find like a bag of white pills, they're not really, I mean, what, sis? No. Don't be like that. So keep it in its original medication container, like the brand that you bought it in. It might not be as storage savvy, like you want to save space and put it in something smaller, but don't do that. Number 6 is to wear comfortable shoes, either comfortable or supportive shoes. And I mean this. Do not try to look cute in the airport. For whatever reason, they could switch a gate last minute and you have to run all the way from one side of the airport to the other. And international airports, at least here in Atlanta, y'all know ATL is like a small city. I don't know if you know, but ATL is like a small city. So if you have to go from one gate, you got to get on the train, switch to another gate. If anything goes crazy, you want to be able to get there. And if you're wearing sandals that aren't very supportive, if you're standing for long periods of time, if there's long lines for anything, getting visas or whatever, it's always more walking and standing than you expect. And you need to have comfortable shoes on that make a difference, because I know for me, certain times I was just really thankful I had on sneakers, okay? My Nikes, I showed them to you guys in a haul that I did, and they're super, super cute. I love them. They're really, really comfortable, but wear something that is comfortable and supportive for you and your feet and your leg. Make sure that you're not trying to be cute. There's always more walking and standing than you expect, and sometimes running. The 7th thing is to wear warm clothes, aka layer, because I'm one of these people that is always cold. Now, if you're always hot, you don't have to pay attention to this, but I'm always cold. And on international flights, you are on those flights for like 8 to 10 hours. And maybe you might have some shorter ones, maybe you might have some longer ones, but it's always cold. I'm always cold, and I don't really trust the airport blankets. Okay, I don't trust the airport blankets. I know they're like sealed. I don't know if they wash them and like re-put them in the plastic, but I've gotten some blankets that had like what I felt like were burn spots on them and stuff. And fleece, I just feel like carries a whole bunch of germs anyway. Do they actually throw out all of those blankets when people leave them on the plain, like what do you do with it? You just repackage it? I don't know. I don't know how often they do the laundry. I don't trust it, but wear something warm. And if you're going to somewhere warm, then wear something that you can take off layers for, because you do not want to be cold and miserable for 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours on a flight. You don't want to do that. Number 8, if you are traveling internationally and you're going to a different culture and their dominant language is something else, just as a general rule of thumb, try and learn a few words like basic few words in whatever the dominant language is in that country. I think culturally speaking, finding out that someone wants to communicate with you will have a lot more gravity and go a lot farther than if you expect them or want them to understand you and your language. It's like, you're coming to my country, you're coming to where I am, and you want me to speak your language. So be, culturally respectful. Obviously, there are lots of touristy areas that accommodate foreigners, so the languages will be all over the place. You'll see all the different translations of whatever you need. So I'm sure you won't have to learn it if you don't want to, but if you do want to immerse yourself in a culture and also just meet people where they're at and be respectful and I guess meet people halfway, like, hey, I'm trying to learn. A lot of people are a lot more receptive to you if you are trying to fit in. And it's not difficult to try and learn a few words. I mean, just things like yes, please, thank you, okay, basic stuff. And I'm saying learn it because I'm sure street talk and slang is gonna be much different than anything you can read in a book or that you learned in class. So wait till you get over there, and after like 2 or 3 days, you're gonna notice like there's certain things that people say over and over and over again. So it's not gonna be hard, but just basic talk. A few words, it'll go farther than you think it will. Number 9, you want to make sure that you have an itinerary of what you want to do before you get to that country. Now, every country, anywhere you go, has a lot to offer. Hopefully you booked your Airbnb in a place that is centralized to all the things that you want to do. I'm not saying you could always get a place near where you want to go, or that that's even possible. Sometimes you will have to travel, but in general, try and make sure you have an itinerary prior to getting there, just so you can maximize on your time. You don't want to have to spend hours deliberating if you go with your friends or your family. What are we gonna do today, guys? And then by the time you figure it out, half the day is gone, and you could have went to that museum or went on this one tour, but you didn't make up your mind. Now all the tickets are gone. Try and make sure that you have whatever you're going to do set. And if you can buy tickets in advance, I highly recommend that. So plan ahead, because you'll get more done if you do that. And the final tip, number 10, keep an open mind. When I started my international travels last year, there were a lot of things that I don't know if I necessarily expected them, but I think you're there to accept culturally, just kind of absorb the experience for what it is. You could tell the people that were mentally more flexible from the people that weren't after you get out in foreign countries, because expectation wise, expecting things to be Americanized, expecting everyone to speak English, or getting frustrated because they don't, that's not a mind frame you really want to have. When flying abroad, I think you can get in certain cultures and certain cultural spaces. You might assess a situation for it being one thing because that's what your past experiences have taught you, but it's something completely different in their culture. I think you should go wanting to accept and embrace and learn and experience, like have a good vacation and be in a happy emotional space, instead of going to impose or intrude or judge or criticize. Obviously, you're still going to be yourself. Obviously, hopefully, you still have a good time and it's not going to be too taxing on you. But I know just going to different cultures and going to different places, it can be more challenging than you expected just because it's so different. AKA a culture shock. Being open-minded will help. Don't be so rigid and stuck in whatever it is that you've already known that you can't learn something new. So those are all of my tips. I'll actually add as a PS, because I just thought of it right just now, bring house shoes. and thank me later. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Remember to let your spirit, soul, and hair stay lifted like an afro puff, and subscribe down below to my world so you don't miss any more videos from me. Don't forget to leave down below in the comment section as well any traveling tips that you also have. Share from one traveler to the next, and hopefully if you guys subscribe, then I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.